This is Jane Gentry with Fusion Staffing. Are you a leader leading a team through these difficult times that we're calling the COVID pandemic? Well, driving the bus as a leader is difficult in a great situation, and it certainly has its challenges during COVID. So what can you do as a leader to ensure that you are creating engagement with your employees and getting the best that you can out of them and taking care of them as a good leader should? Well, the first thing is you need to explain to your employees the purpose of your company. You've got to keep that why we do what we do, front and center. A friend of mine, Lisa Earl McLeod, wrote a book called Purpose-Driven Leadership. It's fantastic if you've never read it. And of course, Lisa knew that purpose-driven leadership was important before COVID, but it's even more important now that our employees understand why we do what we do. You've got to keep that vision in the forefront of the conversations you're having with your employees. Secondly, you need to be visible as a leader more than ever before. When you disappear off the radar for your employees, it creates a lot of anxiety and tension in your workforce. So as a leader, you've got to be communicating with them regularly in a variety of ways so that your employees feel like you're engaged and you're present with them and you're a part of this experience that they're going through. Which leads me to the third thing. You've got to over communicate. I know it gets frustrating sometimes as a leader when we feel like we've said something 15 times and it doesn't seem to be getting through to people. But here's what happens during times of trial and anxiety with your employees. They tend to turn very inward and get really focused on how this change, how this adversity that we're going through is going to impact them personally. If you've never read William Bridges' book on transitions, it's a must read during COVID. And what William Bridges will tell you is that one of the things that happens when your employees are in this space of uncertainty is that you lose engagement, your sick days go up, your productivity goes down. And so as a leader, one of the ways to mitigate those things is to, as I said, be really visible, but also over communicate. So at the point where you feel like you've just said this way too many times, and if you have to say it one more time, you're going to just throw up, you still haven't probably said it enough. Over communicate with your employees, more important than ever during COVID. Finally, protect your culture. It's difficult when we're working with remote workforces. Many leaders haven't worked with a remote workforce before COVID. And so not only are you having to learn how to work with your employees remotely, but you're having to learn how to do it during probably one of the most difficult times of your career or their career. So protecting your culture is really important. What we do in our own company is we host Thursday afternoon happy hour. Drinks are optional, but our folks that are working still are a part of that happy hour. Our folks that furlough are still a part of the happy hour and are showing up every week to hear what's going on with the company. Where do I think we're headed? What are the things I see in the industry that I think are important? How might those impact us as a company? And we catch up with each other personally as much as possible to stay connected. This fosters a lot of offline conversations with people also. So we're doing the work that we need to do to protect our culture so that when we are all back together again, we haven't hit as much of a bump in the road as we would have otherwise. I know it's difficult to be a leader during these times, but if you are driving that vision, driving that purpose and keeping it front and center, if you're being visible as a leader, if you are over communicating and doing what it takes to protect your culture, you will find that you will end up at the end of this journey better off than a lot of your competitors.